good
All right, Lou.
I saw this one on TV. How does a ghost clean its hair?
How?
Shampoo.
Boo.
Oh, Lily stumped it. All right, Who's got one?
Okay, I have one.
All right,
Why couldn't COVID-19 go into the bar?
It was under 21.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, we're getting to a dark place here. Okay, who's Lily?
When does a joke become a dad joke?
When?
Oh, goodness. When it becomes apparent.
Oh!
I love dad jokes.
I love some dad jokes, not all dad jokes. Those are pretty funny, though. I gotta admit.
Don't feel left out. You got one?
Yeah, let me preface this by saying that I do not like dad jokes, but I got one out of my back pocket for you guys. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Bring it.
What did the Jam say to Beyonce?
Oh gosh.
What?
I don't know what.
I don't think you're ready for this jelly. I don't think you're ready for this jelly.
Jam jelly.
Because my body's delicious.
Oh, we get Sting and Felicia off the top. This is going to be a good show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. If you didn't notice, I'm Amy Rutledge, next to John Hanson and Miss Felicia Lawrence, back from a couple of days off. Good to have you back, girlfriend.
Glad to be back.
All right, we got a lot to get to tonight. That's it. We're going to start with Amy Coney Barrett in less than 30 minutes. She is expected to be confirmed by Senate Republicans, that, of course, being President Trump's Supreme Court nominee. Vice President Pence will not be overseeing the proceedings as they originally had planned because two of his aides have tested positive for COVID. So Democrats have asked that he not be there. He is in Washington under quarantine just in case his vote is needed. However, it looks like this should pass without any problems.
Well, more COVID restrictions to suburban Cook County. The north suburbs have passed fail-safe level. That's at 8% for positive COVID cases. And starting Wednesday, no indoor service at bars or restaurants, and they're putting limits on group sizes, 25 people or less. So this heavily affecting the north suburbs. They feel like Chicago Cook County is not far behind because they're seeing 7%. Their positive rate is at 7% right now. So big changes coming.
Yeah, and we unfortunately, man, the cases have been going up lately. These restaurants cannot afford for this to happen. They need to be able to stay open in some capacity so that they can survive through all this. It's awful to see some of them closing for indoor dining.
Yeah, it stinks, but it's what we got to do. I think we all have this COVID fatigue, and maybe we've gotten a little bit better about treating the virus. So maybe we think, it's not as bad as it was before, but hospitalizations are going up, deaths are going up, and those are two big lagging indicators. And we're talking about, when you get to a point where a hospital is at full capacity, not only can they not help COVID patients, obviously, when they can only get so many people in beds, but you're talking about excess deaths because people having stroke symptoms and being afraid of going to the hospital, people having chest pain, signs of heart problems and not going to the hospital or not having the space to treat those people. So you're talking about a real problem. So when we talk about mitigation efforts, we're not trying to get the number down to zero. That's probably not going to happen until we have a vaccine. We're talking about giving hospitals a chance to manage this thing before deaths go out of control. And that's going to take everyone, including restaurants.
Hey, at this point, all you can say is be safe and stay prayerful.
Be smart. Sure. Yep.
Hey, DoorDash, which is one of the food ordering apps, they are trying to give back to restaurants. We're talking about restaurants in need, and they're trying a few different things. So they're offering this new special. It's called Reopen for Delivery, and they've got a Crazy Hog BBQ, which sounds like an awesome place to eat if you're not vegetarian. And basically, the app is tackling restaurants that operate kind of lower cost kitchens and restaurants that have started in the last couple of years. I mean, the worst time to open up a place, and give them a little bit more buzz on their app. Now, I just want to mention that the best way to help restaurants make money is to order directly from the restaurant, not going to third-party apps. But there is a benefit. It gives people a lot of exposure to restaurants that maybe they wouldn't have had exposure to in the past.
Yeah, I always struggle with using the third-party apps because I get frustrated on how much they take. Now, given this situation that they're trying to highlight and help other restaurants, I'm a little bit more inclined to go that route to check out some of the ones that I may not have known about before that maybe I will use because they're trying to highlight them. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, maybe take another look at it. I think we've all had to push ourselves into a little bit more technology than expected right now. But this is great. If they're helping restaurants restructure and rebrand, certainly something is needed right now.
I just need to get out of the rut of ordering the same stuff. We've got like our 4 meals that we get over the span of a couple weeks. I do a lot of cooking, but it's like, is it going to be a wing night? Is it going to be a pizza night? Is it going to be Chipotle? And like, we have everything down. We need to expand. So maybe that's a great way. DoorDash or some other app, find a new restaurant, find a new spot.
You
try
love what you love.
Yes,
I love very few things like wings and pizza.
All right, guys, the National Museum of Mexican Art has recently awarded a $3.5 million grant from the Ford Foundation, and it is not letting the pandemic stop any Day of the Dead celebrations. Diana Gutierrez joins us now with more. Dee.
Thanks so much, Amy. Well, if you didn't know, the National Museum of Mexican Art has been in Pilsen for decades, and it's been operating largely without reliance on computers until, well, 2020 hit. And now, for the first time in its 30-plus year history, technology will help keep its past alive.
It's great to do a tour and then realize that of the hundreds of people that are watching, so many of them are nowhere near Chicago.
This year's Day of the Dead exhibit is Solo un poco aquí, which means here for just a little while. Like much of the country, COVID-19 has stopped many things at the museum, preventing curator Cesario Moreno from showcasing ofrendas, or altars, created by Mexican artists. While the show will go on, it will look very different than years past. Moreno focused on featuring local talent familiar with what the community is experiencing.
We invited them to come in and create site-specific installations. So it's a little bit different this year. It's probably less traditional.
It's a combination of La Calavera Catrina, a decorated skeleton, and more contemporary pieces like this one.
It's not just putting up artwork for people to see, but it's part of a ritual that is now a part of the city of Chicago. It's about a time of the year when we honor the dead, when we honor the people who we love, but they're no longer with us, and we bring them back to life by telling their stories, by saying their name.
This year, focusing on those we've lost to the pandemic.
This year's Dia de Muertos exhibition is dedicated to all of those that have passed away due to the coronavirus.
We came up with a couple of strategies to try to remember and honor them, but obviously it's ongoing, and so it makes it even more difficult to do in an exhibition.
The museum is currently closed to the public, but you can still experience this exhibit through Zoom. All you have to do is head over to the museum's website, hit virtual tours, head over to Day of the Dead, and then boom, you get all the tour times. They're completely free. However, there is a flat fee for school groups who are going to be taking part of this. But other than that, that's pretty much it. All the information you need is on your screen in terms of social media and the museum's website.
Well, daytime talk show host Wendy Williams told her fans today, quote, "I appreciate you watching, but I am not perfect," addressing some concerns that viewers raised after some odd behavior on Friday.
So I was laying in my office and my phone rang. Bring. Yo, baby. Rick Ross.
Now, Williams went on hiatus this past May to deal with issues related to Graves' disease, but she has also been vocal in the past about drug and alcohol addiction. Now, while she didn't give any reasons for her behavior on Friday, some are wondering if it's a relapse. And let's face it, guys, there are a lot of people out there turning to drugs, alcohol during these difficult times to deal with all the stresses out there. Dr. David Kushner is the medical director at the Brightside Rehabilitation Clinic. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us because it's an important discussion to have, especially if you're talking about friends or family who have ever dealt with addictions. Are there signs that we can see, even if we don't get to see them in person every day?
Sure, and thank you so much for having me. It's when people relapse on substances, it really depends on what substance they use, because the signs of relapse are likely the effect of the drug that they're relapsing on. So for people who haven't seen a loved one for a while, they may note behavior that's reminiscent of their prior use of substances, or could see some behaviors like hiding or kind of withdrawing, isolated behavior, other behaviors like agitation or disinhibition. If someone relapses on alcohol, they could be agitated with alcohol, or they could be sedated or sort of saucy with alcohol. If you relapse on cocaine, someone could be more agitated or manic. There are other drugs like Xanax and benzodiazepines where people who've relapsed would have those characteristic symptoms and probably be sedated or disinhibited. So for a family member who or a friend who notices someone acting this way, there's certainly reasonable to be concerned that a relapse may have happened, certainly during these trying times.
I'm thinking about the friends that I have. I do have friends who use drugs and they do it casually for stress relief, and they're high functioning. They go to work every day and they say that they use it just for stress relief. When is a time where I should be intervening? Of course, it's something that I always try to discourage, but when do you know that it's an emergency?
It's difficult because it's a very slippery slope. You have people who are high functioning and they use, and that could be alcohol, where people use harmful amounts of alcohol, either after work or before work, but they get their job done. Others might take pills or use other recreational drugs, which they may feel there's not an issue. And it's
Right.
it really, the definition of when it becomes problematic is somewhat subjective. We can talk to them about our acknowledgement that they probably have used these substances or are using these substances, and try to be there for them if it was to become problematic, and remind them that perhaps it had been problematic in the past, and that we may not have a very slow progression where we could catch it. You could very quickly be down the rabbit hole and
Right.
suddenly be full throttle into a relapse. So really all we can do is support them. If we come on too strong, they're going to tune us out. And we want to be there and try to meet the patient or meet the individual where they're at, and still allow them to contact us or if they do need help. So that would be the reason
Yeah.
to not come on and stage an intervention in the earliest state.
When you are to the point where you know someone does need help, maybe you've gone through that list that you kind of mentioned. You mentioned being there. It's different during this time. Is this something that can be handled on the phone? Do you need to get a couple people to, put on a mask, get to someone's house, talk to them face to face? What are your recommendations?
If we thought that someone's relapse was problematic enough to intervene, then whatever it takes. And I think intervention still makes sense. And COVID safe intervention, I don't know if anyone has defined how to go about that, but certainly putting on some masks and going over to the person's house is going to be most effective rather than doing it over the phone, certainly.
All right.
Dr. David Kushner, thank you so much. A lot of important information. We have to, whether it's via Zoom, we always have to be on top of our friends and family and make sure they're taking care of themselves as best they can. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You can get some more information on the Brightside Clinic at brightsideclinic.com. All the information right there on your screen, and we will be right back.
from Barack Obama
My story is part of the larger American story.
to Donald Trump.
The American dream is dead.
Our nation has produced some of the boldest, brashest, and most fierce contenders on the planet.
Oh boy, the History Channel's the campaigns that made history, taking a look back at elections that shaped our history, and 2020 is shaping up to be a doozy too. Emmy Award-winning journalist, co-founder of Ozy Media, Carlos Watson is here. And Carlos, you took a look back at a bunch of old elections. Can we draw any parallels from the past to what's happening in 2020?
You know what? You can. The one thing that's crazy to say, John, is everyone's like, this is madness, this is insanity. But you know what? We've got a history of contested elections. 5 times, count them, 5 times in the last 60 years, the race has come down to 1 to 2 percentage points. And if you want it to get even crazier, in 1968, the Proud Boys, or the Proud Boys of their time, were actually on the ballot and won 10 million votes in 5 states and 50 electoral votes. So even though things are not what we want them to be right now, and they're a little crazy, they could be crazier. And so let's stay tuned, because you're right, this is going to be a big one.
I love the number of guests that you guys have commenting on this. Historians, former presidents, current presidential candidates. And I love the deep dive that it appears you guys do into 2000, because when you talk about wacky elections, that's the one I want to hear from the people that were on the scene.
Yeah, it's amazing. I had a chance to talk with W, met with Al Gore in the past, met with their campaign managers, and it was just a doozy. And to hear Gore thinking that he lost, calling and conceding to W, then taking it back, then the battle royale. Now, by the way, you know what makes life what it is some of the people who helped win that thing for W in front of the Supreme Court, names like Brett Kavanaugh, like John Roberts, like Amy Coney Barrett. So whatever crazy mess happens over the next couple of weeks, you best believe that they're the future stars of tomorrow. They're the future attorney generals, senators, Supreme Court justices. They'll all be in whatever fight happens over the next several weeks.
My anxiety is riding high, but I think watching something like this can be almost a little calming, in that America has gotten through some wacky elections in the past. And maybe even if this one comes down to be even wackier than all of them, we're going to get through it, I think.
You know, we are. We're a special place, and I don't mean that just to be a rah-rah person. And I am someone who appreciates that when you do have something as magical as in some cases the United States is, in many cases, that it can also get away from you. But it is a resilient and a robust country. You know what I appreciate, John? How many people have showed up to vote early? We already have more people who've voted early now than 4 years ago had done through the whole election. So I think people care. People know a lot's at stake, big fundamental decisions. And who knows, maybe out of all of this tumult will come a greater appreciation for democracy, for maybe a different kind of civility in our elections. Let's wait and see.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love that optimism there. All right, we got about a minute left. What is your favorite election of all time to study? I'm a big fan of 48, Truman with the upset over Dewey. I'm a big fan of 60. You got Nixon and Kennedy fighting between Texas and Illinois. How about you?
Man, you're making it tough on me. I'm going to go 1976. Now, you didn't expect that, did you, John? You didn't expect 76. So 76 was a monster of a race. Now, first of all, the incumbent president is a guy who neither won the presidency himself. He didn't even win the vice presidency. Both of those people had gotten kicked out, and he had gotten elevated from the House, Gerald Ford. He was running against a guy who no one took seriously, Jimmy Carter, one-term governor from a small state, Georgia, a farmer, peanut farmer. And that race, it looked like Carter was going to blow him away. And then I tell you what, boy, oh boy, it came down the last few days. That was another race that was decided by 2 percentage points or less. A lot of folks, including Carter, say if it had gone on a week longer, Ford would have caught him and would have won. So you got to compete all the way through the tapes. Biden knows that. Trump knows that. I think the American people know that. I'm kind of excited to see what happens, not just on Tuesday, but what happens in the several days after that.
Carlos, I could talk to you probably for 3 or 4 hours about this stuff, but we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. And you can follow Carlos and all the stuff that he does. Of course, he's the editor-in-chief of Ozy Media, which is an awesome publication. Follow them there. And then, of course, catch the campaigns that made history on the History Channel. KG, over to you.
Hey, thanks. All right, guys, I've got our first look at a new superhero and her suit. I'll show you after the break, and here's a look at your weather. We'll be right back after this. What's up, guys? I've got top 3 of my trending stories. I'm KG, hence KG's top 3. All right, so this first one, nothing like cozying up to a fire with sense of chicken smelling the air. Yeah, you heard me. KFC is back with their famous fire logs. I mean, I don't know about these, but apparently they're a big deal. They've sold out 2 years in a row. So yeah, 11 herbs and spices. Get that KFC scent to get you ready for fall and winter. I don't know. I just checked Walmart. They're still available so far, but you can get these at your local Walmart or on walmart.com. Okay, and Harry Styles fans, they may not have been as productive as they'd hoped to on this Monday because he just dropped his new video for Golden. Fans have been going crazy over this. It already has over 7 million views on YouTube. It's been the #1 trending video all day. And he's just running around, enjoying his life in the Amalfi Coast. People can't get over that water clip. I don't know why. I'm a Harry Styles fan, but this is just, it's been topping my trending feeds all day. Check it out if you're a Harry Styles fan or if you're not. All right, and this is super exciting. We're getting our first look at the new Batwoman and her suit. So Javicia Leslie is the new Batwoman coming here for season 2, and she is the first Black woman to be Catwoman in a live-action version in TV and film. So she's joining this series as a brand new character because we're seeing Ruby Rose is out, and she's in this season as Ryan Wilder, and it's coming in on the CW 26, January 2021. All right, and I know this is KG's top 3, but I have a quick bonus for you. There's a trending hashtag. It's new Halloween traditions because 2020 has been so weird. So I wanted to ask you guys, what has been your new Halloween tradition? Amy.
Okay, I have been being good, and my new tradition is now to have the small people in my house help me decorate. I tend to be a bit of a control freak and like to do it all myself, but I'm making it a group affair now. That's my new tradition.
Claps for Amy.
I like that. I love that a lot. So I think that my new Halloween tradition, because you know this is not my holiday, y'all, but I think I'll at least try to make sure that I'm gathered with friends and family during that time. And this year we'll probably be passing out hand sanitizer, face masks, and some toilet paper or something.
Alicia hates this holiday so much. You could just see it in her face trying to fake her way through that answer. We're going to have a bonfire outside,
sorry,
hot.
Pete.
There you go. We'll have some candy too.
Oh, that's cute.
I was like, who
That's a
picked
fun
this
thing.
topic?
Yeah. We'll be back after this.
I don't know, Beef. Halloween is this weekend. Come on.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Jam. John, introduce us because I'm going to sneeze again. So I'll just let you know.
Now we all stare at her and wait for it to happen. Amy Rutledge, Felicia Lawrence, I'm John Hanson. Guys, the Bears are playing tonight. Little Monday Night Football.
So that means I don't get to ask any questions. I don't get to ask any questions to my husband for the next 3 hours.
Yeah. No. They're playing the Rams. They're playing another good team. The Bears are 5-1. We'll let you go away, Amy, and take care of that.
I was trying to hold in my sneeze and it made me cough.
We'll take it from
I just had to sneeze.
I hope you feel better. Don't ever hold it in. You always got to let it out.
Yeah, I made it worse.
Let's let her off the screen. Okay, the election. Boy, everyone is voting early, and numbers are through the charts across the country. Chicago, no different.
That's right. Chicago Board of Elections Chairwoman Maricel Hernandez joins us now. And Maricel, this is an exciting time. There's so much going on. Everyone talking about it. How is early voting going?
It is going great. We've had over 200,000 people early vote through today, and over 300,000 that have sent back their vote by mail ballots. So it's wonderful.
In Cook County, so if someone is holding onto their mail ballot, everyone's trying to say, get that sucker on in as fast as you can. How long does someone have? Is this a state where you can have it as late as postmarked on Election Day?
It is. You can have it postmarked as late as Election Day, but as we get closer and closer to Election Day, I would urge voters to take that mail ballot and go to one of our early voting sites and drop it off at one of our secure drop boxes. So anybody can do that. It would be great, and you'll get confirmation that we've received your ballot almost immediately.
Yeah, that's a great tip. You don't have to mail it in. You can actually drop it off and see it go in. Are there any reports? A lot of people have been talking about voter fraud right now that has come up in the news a lot in conversation. Have you received any reports of any wrongdoing or anything bad happening?
No, it's been great. Voters are excited. We're excited. We still have 200,000 ballots out there, mail ballots that we want people to send in. But everything has been going extremely smoothly for the number of ballots we have. It's been going really smoothly.
That's amazing. 60% of the ballots essentially already back. People have really been on top of it. That is great to hear. I know this seems crazy, but there's got to be a couple people out there that are like, wait, voting? Is that coming up soon? I don't know if I'm registered. Illinois, you can, I know it seems crazy, but they are out there. There is same-day registration that they can do in the state, right?
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. You can register up through Election Day. You just have to come in personally to any early voting site or on Election Day to your precinct polling place and do register for the first time, do a name change, an address change, and we will let you vote right then and there. It's the easiest thing. The only thing I'm asking voters to do, because the ballot is really, really long, is to print it out at home. You can print out a sample ballot by visiting chicagoelections.gov and go to voter information and just fill it out at home and then bring it with you to your early voting site or polling place. It'll make things so much easier and quicker.
Oh, yeah, because I think John can attest to this too. That list of judges was something else. It was a really long list. Is that what you are having folks do to try to help alleviate the lines? Is there anything else that's being done to try to help alleviate those lines?
Well, we have those secure drop boxes. We're trying to encourage people to come out and vote early. Don't wait for this weekend. Come out during the week when the weather is going to be nice and just do it, and it'll be great.
Just the last question I have really quickly is everyone wear a mask, right? I mean, that's mandated in the polling places, and I imagine all the election judges are doing the same.
Yes. everyone,
all right,
we're all doing well. And luckily, people are healthy, people are happy. Our workers are so excited about having everyone come out and vote. So come on in.
Yes, yes. I live in Bronzeville. John voted by mail. I went into the actual precinct. I went into the actual voting poll, and it was great. I felt safe. It was socially distanced. It was running like clockwork. So I think, Marisol, you probably have something to do with that, and all the hard poll workers out there. Thank you.
Exactly.
Early voting at the polls ends this Sunday at 5 p.m. And your last chance to vote is, of course, on Election Day, which is next Tuesday, in case you're that person that's been living under a rock. John just identified. If you need more info, chicagoelections.gov. You can get more information there. Of course, always hit them up on social media as well. Amy.
Well, skeletons, blood, knives, all the things that keep us up after a night of good Halloween movies. They are also some of the medical marvels highlighted at the only surgical museum in North America, right here in Chicago.
The elegant Lakeside Mansion is one of a kind, the only one still open to the public in Chicago, and
we are the only museum dedicated to the history of surgery in North America.
The International Museum of Surgical Science pays homage to some of the greatest minds in medicine, both in art and sculpture and in tools of the trade.
There's like a different focus. So we have like a pain gallery on the history of pain management. We have x-rays and anatomical illustration, a Spanish mural hall, Islamic medicine, nursing.
Some of the pieces are a little shocking and eerily intriguing, from the first bone saws and winches used to fix deformities to the wildly painful-looking instruments of old obstetrics. You will find surgical sets, spinal needles, the beginning of surgical staples, and the ideas which propelled medicine into the modern treatments we know today.
People used to believe that like your blood had different temperatures depending on your health, and so if you had like cold blood or hot blood, you might need blood from a certain person or an animal. So actually there were transfusions between people and dogs and people and pigs and sheep, which is obviously not a good idea.
An entire wall of prosthetics highlights the first artificial hand from 1910, artificial arms and legs too. Leg braces for kids left immobile by polio sit beside an old iron lung, which helped victims in the 20s and 30s get the oxygen the disease robbed them of. The Science of Sight highlights spectacles from ancient China to today, and a lot of in between.
I think that it's cool to see how so many things have come back into style. So while they might look dated to some, like I've definitely seen some of those trends more recently.
The majority of the ointments, powders, tinctures, and salves in this pharmacy are made by me.
For those who needed medicine, a 19th century apothecary and all its bottles, jugs, and jars. The 4-floor museum, a space for events and education in a discipline that is thankfully always evolving.
It's definitely not a dead art. Medicine is advancing every day. I would like people to realize how far we've come in medicine, maybe to be happy that we live today.
Yeah, pretty spooky, pretty cool. Check out the museum for yourself. It is open but maintaining COVID protocols. Also, the museum launched a Halloween auction fundraiser where you can bid on goodies and experiences, and that runs now through Halloween. It's such a cool place. You don't even know it exists. It blends in with the row of mansions on the Michigan Avenue, and it's just gorgeous.
Oh my goodness, that's super cool. I oftentimes think about what medical care was like 50, 100 years ago. I mean, and to think about where it's going in the future, like one day all the advancements in the technology that we have will be outdated. I mean, that blows your mind.
Yeah,
I was just going to say the same thing, Felicia. It's like you look back at some of the equipment they used back then and they're like, oh my God, how prehistoric and inhumane. And then they're like 50 years, they're going to be like, what were y'all doing? Y'all crazy.
Right? Yeah. Particularly right now with with the pandemic. I'm like, we're in a time where we just don't know and we don't have a lot of information, and we'll be telling our grandkids about this.
Yes.
Oh,
They stuck a thing up your nose and they scrubbed around a little bit. All right,
That's all we
Brandon, over
had.
to you.
That's all we knew.
And that's all we got.
All right, guys. So, excuse me there. All right, guys. So millennials get a pretty bad rap when it comes to COVID-19. We see the videos of them out having fun, having a good time. But new study shows they may not be as bad with COVID as you think. We're going to talk about that coming up. But first, here's a look at tomorrow's forecast as we head to the break. More of The Jam when we come back. Brandon Pope here with the news you need to know. Chicago police are searching for a missing baby after a car was stolen in Marquette Park. The car was found, but no baby inside. That search is still ongoing. And Tony Preckwinkle has announced an over $2 million cash assistance program for Cook County residents. Those eligible can receive $600 to help with food, rent, and bills, but they must prove their income and their need. CTA and Pace are finally making the Venture card mobile. Riders with Apple Watches and iPhones can now tap in, just head to the Venture app on your phone to add it to your digital wallet. And White House officials say Amy Coney Barrett's going to be sworn in to the Supreme Court by Justice Clarence Thomas at the White House this evening. Yeah, they're moving pretty fast after she's expected to be confirmed by the Senate tonight. So yeah, they're moving this pretty quickly, trying to get her in that bench as soon as possible, and she could be having her first day on the job as soon as tomorrow.
Well, I think it's crazy. It's interesting, I should say, that the Chief Justice is not doing it. And when you look at the people that are attending the event, a lot of Republican senators who were invited, said yes, are now kind of backing away. I don't think it's a good look for anyone to go to an event where just a few weeks ago was a super spreader event, and they're going to have another one?
Yeah. And they're touting the fact that it's outside, but I mean, how far away? Are they going to socially distance? Or they can all be wearing masks? That's been a problem at the White House as well.
That's just one thing. I'm thinking just how quickly they were able to move on this, but Congress still hasn't been able to pass. They failed to pass a new stimulus bill. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, I need them to move
Snaps
fast on that. I'm thinking about all the people and the businesses, small businesses out there that need the relief, and they are zooming this process right on through.
Yeah. All about priorities, and we're seeing where this president's priorities are. All right, so young people, we often get a bad rap when it comes to our handling of COVID-19, but some global survey data obtained by Bloomberg may actually surprise you when it comes to how young people view the pandemic. It's from YouGov and Imperial College tracking on masks. It says that 74% of young people frequently wear them outside the home. Compare that to half of people age 65 and over, people that are most vulnerable for COVID-19. Young people also are just as willing as their parents' age group to quarantine for a week if told to do so. And 2/3 of young people are keeping small gatherings to a minimum. That's on pace with the rest of the country as well. So pretty interesting data there showing that, hey, us millennials, we're not the ones that are outside the courthouses and outside protesting, wearing masks and yelling at people or going off in grocery stores because we have to wear a mask. That's not us.
Well, okay. So I'm on two sides of this fence because the couple times I've been downtown and we went out to eat, I saw large groups of young people not wearing masks and not paying any attention, like it didn't even exist. Okay, so that happened a couple times. But I got a niece and a nephew who are in college, and they are being super careful, and so are their friends apparently. So but they're a little bit younger, but not much. So I don't know.
Yeah, the numbers say otherwise. The numbers that Brandon just gave us says that millennials are being more safe. You have to remember, and people are like, oh, those young people. Well, millennials are not 21, 22 years old. Those are not millennials. Millennials have homes and jobs and kids. Like, they don't have time to be out here getting this whole COVID thing. So, I mean, I think they always blame everything on millennials. I think it's ridiculous.
Oh, no, we blame Gen Xers too.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, we love blaming other generations. There's without a doubt. I just think that I think Gen Z millennials are better about it in general, just anecdotally. But when they aren't, they really aren't. It's like Gen Zers are really careful, millennials, and then they're like, let's go to a club. Whereas someone who's like 65, when they're not being so good about it, they go hang out with Diane down the street. Like, that's what they do that's so out of crazy. So I think it's just like
so
different.
True.
I guess the other difference too is for millennials and Gen X, they have phones and they are posting what they're doing that's not being safe, right? Whereas people that are 65 and over, probably not posting it.
No, they're just missing Zumba or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Hey, by the way, we want to make sure you know all the things about voting. We've talked about it here on the show. There's the information. We'll be back.
Hey, if you're job searching during the pandemic, we know you have to be strategic, persistent, and you always have to be ready to learn new things. Laisha Fox McDaniel has tips on networking during this time.
85% of jobs are filled via word of mouth. And so what many people see on a job board, that's the residual of what hasn't been filled. And so I think it's a great opportunity to make sure that your professional profiles have been updated. You can clearly state that you are currently in the market and you're looking for a job. So whether that's connecting with past colleagues, past managers, put it out there. Hey, I'm currently in the market. I'm looking for a job. Of course, you have an updated resume and a cover letter. And so again, you want to make sure that you're tapping into your network, just in case there's someone that has an opportunity that will fit your professional and your educational skill set.
That's right. Our show has resources for those in the midst of their job search. You can catch Job Hunt Chicago Sundays at 11 a.m. John.
Yeah, you can. Okay, the sun is set. It's time for Moon News. This is the segment we threw together today because we have 2 moon stories. So we're like, let's make it Moon News. And our wonderful producer, Lily, put my face on the moon. Okay, let's get to it. Big announcement from NASA today. 2 studies released showing that there is water on the moon. Now, we've always thought there was some type of water, but we didn't know whether it was H2O, like the stuff that we drink on Earth, or something else that is missing a molecule. We've known there's ice there too. Well, guess what? 2 separate studies have shown that the moon is not just dusty, it's damp too. There is water there, which what you might thinking, well, what do I care? I got water coming out of my faucet. Great question. Well, if we ever want to go to the moon and build a base there, or let's say 2020 has been so bad, we want to get the heck on out of here, it might be able to help us build a base because there's water that we can dig out. Not as much on Earth, clearly, but there's moon there. Or there's water there. That's cool, right? Elsewhere in Moon News, turns out for Halloween this weekend, we have got a blue moon, which doesn't mean the moon is blue. It's the 2nd full moon of the month. This has not happened since 2001. Blue moons in general, where you get 2 full moons in a month, happen about every 2.5 years because the moon cycle is about 29.5 days. But the blue moons on Halloween, pretty rare. So, of course, 2020 gonna be extra spooky.
That's spooky. That's spooky, and they're probably going to be werewolves and vampires are going to be out too, and zombies.
What, Amy?
Isn't there a Blue Moon song, John, that you should be singing for us too?
Blue moon, I left her standing alone.
They have a good beer too. That Blue Moon beer is really tasty.
Oh, it's good. It's light. It's nice. Yeah, exactly.
It's a wheat ale. Really nice citrus.
That's it for Moon News, Krista.
Thanks for that moon news, John.
Moon news.
I've been over here laughing. Okay, guys, if you haven't seen Hubie Halloween with Adam Sandler, I watched it. I recommend it. You'll have a laugh. But Drew Barrymore, she talked to Adam Sandler about filming the movie and how his kids were begging to be in it. And on a movie set, you know kids are going to be kids.
I knock on the door, they go, they're ready, let's go. And they're like, they're ready? You'd always play crazy, like they didn't know they were shooting a movie. I go, yeah, you don't have your makeup on? They're like, no, I'll do it now. And it's disgusting, Drew. You know that.
How fun. You can catch the Drew Barrymore Show weekdays at 5 p.m. on CW26. We'll be right back.
It is time for a little deep dish.
Oh, okay. So what's the sixth sense that you wish you had?
Very good question. I think the sixth sense I wish I had would be reading people's minds or overall telekinesis, so I could like lift things up with my mind and take over the world pretty much.
All right, Luke Skywalker. It's called the Force.
Okay, next. No, I'm just kidding.
Next, I actually was going to say the same thing. I mean, you think about how many things in your life you could have solved if you could have just saw it coming a couple seconds ahead of time. But if I can't read people's minds because Brandon stole it, I want invisibility.
Ooh. We're definitely veering into superpowers more than senses.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
That's the idea of a sixth sense. You know, that's what the whole concept is.
I guess you get to define your own.
Yeah, Deanna, what do you got?
For me, so now that winter's coming up, obviously all the cute jackets are on in the stores and stuff like that, but they don't provide the heat that you need. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. Guys too. They're not warm, right? You get a cute jacket and you're like dying, freezing in the cold. So I think what snakes have, like heat sensors or like, what is that called?
That's
like just like if I'm
personal
cold,
insulation.
I'll just like do that, and then
I was really wondering where you were going
Yeah.
with this one.
I've been working on this for a long time. It's called Gain 40 Pounds over the last 6 years, and you feel nice and toasty. Krista.
I would want the ability to know where something that I've lost is. So I think about this every time and how much time I'm wasting just searching for lost items. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Oh my God, that's a really good one. The amount of time I spend looking for my keys or wallet. Yeah, no, I don't. Seriously, Amy, I like start shedding like a snake, and then like afterwards, like Enrique, every morning he's like, "How do you not know where this stuff is?" I wish I knew when things were coming to an end so I could appreciate them. Like this show. Yeah. We'll see you tomorrow. You get it?
Bye.
What I did there?